How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to take a bit of a break from the new Pokemon games coming out for Switch, and we're going to take a look at this article from Kotaku, kind of encapsulating these unused Pokemon designs from the recently released, quote-unquote, Gold and Silver demos for the original Pokemon games, Gold and Silver, back in 1997, I believe it was. So, maybe it was 98. Might be 98. Demo, ROM of a 97 is when the demo was supposed to be coming out. Anyways, we can see here that we have this nice picture. I will probably blow it up on screen for you guys so you can see it a little better, but it's a bunch of Pokemon from this demo that were supposed to be used, and we can, if we look, there's a lot of similarities to Pokemon that we see in the final version, like today, that we still have from Gen 2, but then there's also a lot that are just completely gone or removed from the game that didn't make the cut. As you can see, even the starters right here are completely different. If we look here, we got Chikorita, but Bayleaf looks totally different here, and Meganium looks pretty much the same, but the Fire line and the Water line are both completely different. There's no Cyndaquil, there's no Totodile at all, which is really interesting to see that they didn't even have the starters finalized for this demo. Looking here, we go on, we got Hoot Hoot and Noctowl, but not actually Noctowl, which I think this design almost looks cooler. This guy looks a lot more fierce, and I definitely want him in my party. Here it looks like Mareep, basically the same design, just a little bit of a color change there. Ampharos, and then this Pokemon right here almost looks like Vulpix, but obviously it still looks a little bit different if you zoom in on that. Actually, I wonder, I can get a little closer here. There we go. That's a little better. Even better. Perfect. Right, so Vulpix looks a little bit more fire-esque than what the final version came out to be. This Pokemon here, no clue what it is. It kind of has a similarity to Tangela, but obviously the final versions are completely different, as we can see. This Pokemon here, no idea. I'm gonna try not to go through every single one, just so you guys can get the idea that there are some Pokemon like this one that are just completely different, and we don't even see them in the final game. Then there's these three here that look like babies for like Clefairy and Jigglypuff, so maybe the first versions of Cleffa and Igglybuff. Right here we see Quagsire, or maybe even a baby version of Quagsire, not too sure. This could be the first version of Wooper. Moving along, we have some more Pokemon here that we look like we've never seen. This almost looks like the original design of Marill. And then these two here, completely new Pokemon, even this one here. Moving along, we got some, looks like Ariados. What am I talking about? Ariados, Skarmory right there, you can see. So these are some of the same design Pokemon. So some of them did make the cut, but others didn't. Draftwig here, we can see, looks a lot different, actually. Not a lot different, but the second half is basically a mirror image, which is kind of interesting to see. So some of these look really, really weird, excuse me, compared to what we've seen in the real version, the final version. And then there's some that almost look like we should have them back. Like this right here looks like a baby version of Meowth, and I'm pretty sure somebody down here, right here, they kind of blew it up a bit, made it look a little nicer, and I really like this. I think that it looks adorable, like a little kitten, and I wish it was in the final game. But so going back, we see, I'm not too sure what this is, but this Pokemon right here looks super cool. It almost looks like a cat version of Umbreon, and I would love to have that in the game. Umbreon is one of my favorite Pokemon, and I think this design had a lot of potential right here. This thing right here, I don't know. I don't even know. That just looks weird. Actually, maybe even Politoed. The first version of Politoed right there. That could be something. Moving along, unknowns right there. Ponyta. Versions of Espeon right there. And Umbreon, like I said. And then here are some interesting ones. We have Remoraid and Octillery, and there's also a separate article that I have here that I found highlighting this specifically, and you see we have a blown up picture of them, and Remoraid looks like a revolver pistol, and then Octillery actually looks like a tank. And just kind of staying away from reading the whole article here, obviously we have what they look like today, Octillery and Remoraid, but we see this man sums it up pretty well in this tweet. Basically, the biggest takeaway from those beta Pokemon is that the evolution line used to make sense, right? So we see them now, we just have the octopus and the fish, and it's just kind of like the names don't fit, but when you look at these, they do. Octillery, you know, kind of like the tank and that, Remoraid. So I just thought that was very cool. Not too much other news or information in this article here. You guys can read it in the description down below. So if we hop back over to these Pokemon, going through a little bit, again, some of them are different. That's what I've been stressing this whole time, is we have these different versions. Right here is cool because we have these 3 Pokemon here that seem to be baby versions of Jinx, or not even Jinx, Smoochum, Elekid, and Magby. So these probably were replaced by the final versions in the game. Some of these, like this version of Magby, I really like a lot better. Specifically, other than that, this guy, someone made a joke here, looks kind of like a little bumblebee. Ooh, bring up Twitter there, my bad. But continuing on, Blossom, some of these, see, like we have this, almost looks like Victory Bell, but a little different. Miltank. This Pokemon, see, this is a completely different Pokemon that we haven't seen before right here. It looks like a bit of a seal with a fireball on it, so probably a fire-type seal. Delibird. This Pokemon right here looks really cool. It looks like an electric little, I don't even know, like a fat little lion, I guess? Kind of reminds me of, almost like Togedemaru, this first form here, which I really wish that this Pokemon made it into the game, because I think that, especially in the earlier games, there wasn't a whole lot of viability in electric types aside from like Pikachu, Elekid, Mareep, stuff like that. I just wish there was some more variety. This Pokemon right here looks like kind of a bit of a swan. And then these 2, I have never even seen those before. What does that even look like? Almost looks like a scarecrow. That's kind of weird. That's an interesting design right there. Murkrow, obviously, here. Moving along, this looks maybe a baby form of Chansey, like Blissey, the first forms of Blissey. Scyther, this Scyther design looks a little different. You can kind of see here, if you're looking at the picture, it almost looks like a cross between Scyther and Scizor, almost put them together. Pinsir looks a little different, looked like Heracross and Pinsir put together there, so maybe that was kind of the original intention, was to have this Pokemon, but then they decided to split it up into Pinsir and Heracross, separate Pokemon. This Pokemon here, moving along, is just looks like a furball. Nice dog furball. Some of these designs are just crazy. Like, what even? What is this right here? What is that? It looks almost like a Lickitung, but not. I'm guessing that's what this turned into the final version of, or not the final, this was the beta version of Lickitung. I keep getting those flipped. Here, we see these 3 right here. These are apparently supposed to be the beta versions of Entei, Raikou, and Suicune, which look really, really basic. I prefer the final designs that we got. Someone actually, when I was reading through, made a comment right here that the beta design for Suicune looks like Nina from FMA, and that's, if you look, I'll pull this up on Twitter right here. You can't really see the picture that well. There it is. But he's not wrong, and that's kind of upsetting. If you haven't seen FMA, Full Metal Alchemist, watch that and you'll understand. Anyways, moving right along, this looks like Mew? Is that supposed to be Mew? It doesn't even look... It looks a little like Mew, but it's... I don't know. I don't think that's Mew, because Mew came out in Gen 1. But we have Ho-Oh, Togepi, Snubbull, whatever these 2 are. Maybe these were versions of other evolved forms of Eevee, I'm wondering, because this kind of looks like Leafeon here. And then I'm not too sure what this is. But you know, just a quick little rundown for you guys. I think that these Pokemon designs are really cool. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody took these and put them into a fan game, because these are, I guess they're official designs for Pokemon, but they weren't ever really used. They're beta designs, so I'm wondering if they're kind of like almost fair use for people to use in something like a fan game, which would be really cool, to kind of make a remake of the game with these designs in there and give these Pokemon proper names and attack stats, stuff like that. Anyways, just like I said, a quick rundown for you. I'll leave the articles down below. You guys can check it out for yourself. Read some of the comments and what other people are saying about these Pokemon designs. I think they're really cool. I like a lot of them. Some of them are kind of weird. Again, like I said, this thing right here that seemed to turn into Licky Tongue is just crazy weird. But that's all I got. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.